I am so glad you convinced me that the family car should be the Defender 110. It is so beautiful inside, it's so comfortable, and it just feels indestructible.
Yes, it really is. I've been waiting a long time for the new model to come out. The Defender 110, I'm telling you, it's my favorite car of all times. It's my third one. You know, I have stories of going off road. The guy managed the group. He was like, "What are you doing in this beautiful car?" I'm like, "I'm going off road." He's like, "Are you sure? Because you can use one of ours." And then they look like Mad Max cars. I'm like, no, we're going to do this. And he was shocked.
Wow. Well, it's great because the Defender has been reimagined for 21st century adventure, and its unparalleled off-road ability as well as its robust interior are invaluable whether you're headed towards uncharted territory or just a weekend of exploration. The Defender 110 tackles challenging surroundings with absolute confidence. The SUV conveys strength outside and in, featuring peerless technology like an intuitive driver display and an award-winning infotainment system. That's my favorite part, to keep you connected no matter where the journey takes you. Adventure is unique to everyone, and so is the Defender. Choose from the two-door Defender 90, the four-door Defender 110, or the larger Defender 130 with the ability to seat up to 8 passengers. You'll find uncompromising performance in all three. So pack up and go even further with the Defender 110. Learn more at LandRoverUSA.com/Defender.
Sometimes it takes a different approach to help you unlock your true potential. Capella University's game-changing FlexPath format helps you learn at your own pace and fit earning a degree into your life. From before you enroll to after you graduate, you'll be supported by people who are invested in your success so you can pursue your goals knowing that help is available if you need it. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
It just shows you, like, some of the most successful people in the world, we all deal with this fear. And
it's almost like fear is, I'm just going to think about it in mathematical terms. It's like gravity. It's everywhere all the time, and it's how we deal with it. Yeah. It determines whether we fall to the ground or, figure out ways to fly, as being overly corny about it. But you can't avoid the fear that's everywhere, as we're built with it. It's instinctive. We have... Tribal animals, primates, had to have fear to survive in the jungle, and we have the same DNA still.
Yeah. One of the best books I've ever read is called The Tree of Knowledge by Umberto Maturana, and it's one of the hardest books I've ever read as well, because it's just a vocabulary that I had to literally read the book with a dictionary. But it talks about environment and fixed ideas, and like how, like, even at a single cellular level, like, the environment changes, cell structure. And it takes you on this beautiful journey of humanity and what it means to be human. But at the very end, they talk about people latching on to having a fixed mindset versus open mindset. So they have these fixed views of the world based on their experience. And not too long ago, it was commonly thought that the world was flat. And then it was, okay, well, the Earth doesn't rotate around the sun, right? Like, there's all these, like, very things that we take for granted today. They're like, oh, of course it's that way. But you were a kook to think that the world was anything other than this flat thing you're going to sail off the edge of in the boat. So when you translate that to fear, I tell the story of the jungle training where they had to eat. They showed you how to, like, trap monkeys to eat for survival, and how you trap a monkey in the Philippines. You dig a hole. You put something of value in there. In this case, it was the coconut. And you make these sticks in the hole so the monkey sticks the hand in, grabs the coconut, but can't pull it out. And the thing is, the monkey won't let go of the coconut. All he has to do is let it go, and he's free. He won't let go. He's sitting there looking at the Filipino guy coming to club him in the head and kill him, and he just still won't let go of this coconut. And I feel like I tell that story in there because the coconut is a lot of they're holding on to these fears and these stories in their head. And one of the things I really respected about you when we met was you told this story and were vulnerable about how you were dealing with confronting your fear of public speaking. And if you saw that, and then you made a conscious decision to let go and take the journey. And there's so many people that just don't do that, and they end up in these miserable relationships. They're in these careers where they thought at one point, oh, I'm going to be a doctor or a lawyer. I'm going to make all this money. And then they get into these professions and they're absolutely miserable and they just won't let go.
Yeah. And they have excuses. They say, I can't. They don't say, okay, this is an opportunity. Like, I'm afraid to do public speaking. So this is an opportunity to figure out maybe 10 ways I can battle this fear and then just simply do them. And like you taught Kamal how to deal with his fear in swimming, it's almost like what you did was we'll get into it more in a little bit, but you created a very safe environment for him to be in the water without fear, and you build up from that in this particular case. But the biggest step for him and the biggest step for you, and we're going to get back into your story about your business, is you after all this self-talk and feelings of disaster happening, you made the decision, look, I'm not going to go down that path. I'm going to start thinking in terms of solutions instead of disasters. So that decision is the first part of your process. But there's something else there. There's the self-awareness aspect that, oh, I see what's happening in my head. It's bad. I need to reverse it. Then there's positive self-talk. I did this. I should be able to survive this. And meaning I should be able to come up with solutions once I switch my thinking, which you haven't done yet. I mean, in the process, but you're about to.
Yeah.
And then there's a third thing, which is really important, and you mentioned it briefly, actually, in the decision chapter. Surround yourself with wisdom, which is, I think, taken for granted. What you just said before when you were describing the business from a few months ago is one of the first things you did was you called your contact at Google.
Yeah.
So you called the second largest company in the world, the person who decided your fate or fury, whatever you want to call it, and you said, give me advice, which is, I find, to be a great technique. If someone is called and their advice is asked for, it kind of puts them off guard because you're giving them status. So no matter what they felt about you or your business before, it's now this, again, tribal thing. Like, oh, this person just gave me status. Okay, I'll help him out. And she did. And I think it's underestimated the power of preparing years or decades in advance for fear.
Yeah,
because and that's by building up a network of wisdom, of people who you can make those calls to, no matter what the situation.
And you bring up a really good point about, and I talked about it earlier, about environment. Like our environment is so critical. And when I say that, I mean who you hang out with, like your friends, even sometimes your family. There's been many situations where I've had conversations with my kids who are around family members that are just not in good places. And I remember last Christmas I rented a house in Lake Tahoe. It's a family tradition. We go skiing every year. And there was a member of the family that my kids, I know they feel a certain way about, and I understand because they're very negative. They get around, they just talk down to other people, and they don't even realize they're doing it. And I say, look, I sat my kids down. I said, look, we know this. Here's the thing. It's much harder to be kind than clever. So for one, I don't want to hear any smart back talk. The other thing is just remove yourself from the environment. Just tell the person, look, I really don't want to get into this conversation now, and excuse yourself and leave the environment, because being around those kind of people that are negative. And today in the world of social media, it's so important as well to curate that environment. So you surround yourself with people who are positive and loving and are going to amplify what you do and the person that you want to become. And
and I'm always going to interrupt. I'm sorry, and I also know we have a tight time frame, but I want to point out in your book, there's two interesting anecdotes. One is someone who wants to start a business, but specifically disconnects from her family for a little while because she knows they'll be negative about her starting a business. And this has happened to me so many times where I've had to...
Yeah, that's Maria, I think.
Yeah, I kind of have in those situations a one strike and you're out policy, which is very hard because I talk to a lot of people about this who say the exact same thing. They have the exact same problem. And a lot of people say, well, 6 years ago, this person helped me move when I was down and out, so I have to be loyal back. And I'm like, yeah, but now is now. You have to be able to build your career, and they're off in their own toxicity, and they're not asking for your help, and they're just bringing you down. You have to have some policy of eliminating toxic people. The other thing you say, which is related to this, is you quote Paulo Coelho, author of The Alchemist, and you say, haters are just confused admirers. So what I take from that in terms of action is, okay, you're a hater, which means you're a confused admirer. The only way I'm going to get you not confused anymore is if I go off and do something, and then you could admire what I do. Because you can't ever logically change someone's mind. You can't argue with anybody because they're not going to change their opinion because their hand is on the coconut. Hey, just a quick reminder, go claim your copy of my free book called Fact Me at jamesaltucher.com/FAQ. It's a collection of questions people have asked me over the years, ranging from how to come up with good ideas, all the way to my views on online dating or who would win in a fight, Batman or Spider-Man. Just head on over to jamesaltucher.com/FAQ. That's jamesaltucher.com/FAQ. Thanks so much.
These days, we're all investors, trying to be smart with our money despite our worst impulses. But at iShares, we believe that deep down inside of every investor is a better investor. One that's just waiting to be let out. Explore iShares ETFs and insights and let your best investor out.
Visit iShares.com for more information.